We are only 3 games into the Sixers season, but there has already been some notable takeaways that will dictate the future of this franchise. In this video, I'm here to break down the 3 biggest storylines and how they all tie together, that being number 1, the future of Joel Embiid, number 2, the uncertainty with James Harden, and number 3, the continued evolution of Tyrese Maxey. I want to discuss all those things with the big picture, how it impacts the Sixers plan, and how they all tie together and impact each other. Now, I did drop a video completely on the Tyrese Maxey evolution that is already out on this channel. I do recommend you guys checking that out as well, but I do think that there's some bigger picture pieces that are also involved to his evolution and how his path will continue as well. So I want to touch on each of those in this video here, but before I dive fully into it, I do want to make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe button. That at this point in time, 81.6% of you guys watching the channel have not subscribed just yet. We are in the full swing of season. There's going to be nonstop content coming out. This Sixers team is fun and exciting to talk about, and I am bought in. We'll be here start to finish this season, so make sure that you're tapped in, sticking along with me, and being a part of the Sixers Digest family. Now let's dive into the full topic of today. Number 1, I just want to fully put this topic to bed and make sure we establish that, but it is the future of Joel Embiid, and we'll begin with this report here from Ian Begley, who is a Knicks reporter, and says, the quote, "There's a belief within the Sixers organization that Joel Embiid remains committed to finishing his career in Philadelphia," according to Ian Begley. Quote, "The organization believes Embiid is committed to competing for a title with the Sixers and finishing his career in Philadelphia." So as I mentioned, that I think this topic has been very overblown. I've touched on it in a couple different ways. The bottom line being that you don't trade Joel Embiid until he physically walks into that office and says, "I want to be traded." And that's especially the case when you're seeing offers across your desk like this for the MVP of the league. The New York Knicks are reportedly willing to offer a package that includes 2 to 3 first-round picks, Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, Evan Fournier, and Mitchell Robinson in exchange for Joel Embiid per Keith Pompey. In theory, that sounds great. That's a lot of stuff, but it's a whole lot of garbage. It's a whole lot of nothing that benefits the team, and there's a reason the Knicks have kind of already hit their ceiling as a team, never mind the fact that Jalen Brunson is the best player on that team, and he's not included in this deal. I get it. Everyone wants Joel Embiid. He's the MVP of the league. When he's playing at his best level, there's not a single human being on the planet better at basketball than Joel Embiid, and we've seen that. I would even argue through the first 3 games of this season that he's playing at a higher level than he did last year, his MVP season, that we're seeing him buy into this team construct. We're seeing him grow as a playmaker. I do think Nick Nurse's offense is having a huge role in that, but the bottom line being that all those talks about Joel Embiid wearing any sort of other uniform, put them to the side, table them. The focus is on the Sixers. That is at least the case until this James Harden situation is resolved. And one thing that I continue to circle back to about Joel Embiid is he's an intelligent human being, that he watches how the world plays out, how the business of basketball is played out, and he very much has an eye on how this James Harden situation will be resolved. I guarantee there's been some in-depth conversations between him and Daryl Morey about the plan, about how they want things to play out, what the situation has evolved, and frankly, there is not a concrete answer for what that will be that has been known to the public. And I'll start by bringing this up, that we know all the context of the situation with the James Harden, all the backstory, the history that they have together. We saw James Harden travel to China to call Daryl Morey a liar in front of as many cameras and children that could listen at that point in time. James Harden missed 10 days of training camp for a reason that he still has not publicly stated himself, and I would prefer to hear from his mouth before others speculate on that. But the bottom line was he was away from the team with 10 days, and then we get this report from Shams Charania here that James Harden returned to Philadelphia on Tuesday night with his bags packed to join the team on the road for Thursday versus the Bucks and Saturday versus the Raptors, but the 76ers have asked him not to travel with the team, this being after the 10 days away, James Harden reporting back to the organization. So we know at this point in time that James Harden did not travel with the team to Milwaukee or to Toronto. He was on the bench during the Sixers home opener last night against the Portland Trail Blazers. The Sixers ultimately cruised to a blowout victory in that matchup, and we saw the good spirits, that James Harden was not there slouching. He seemed to be in a good mood. There was a video circulating of him and PJ Tucker celebrating on the sideline, him kind of hyping up PJ. There's also this picture here that came out of Maxey with Harden, so you can see they're all smiles. They're hanging out, having a good time there. If that's the version of James Harden that wants to be around, that's perfectly fine. But that is not the concern, and I guess the biggest difference that I kind of circle in all this is when you want to compare this to the Ben Simmons situation, it was very clearly Ben Simmons versus the Sixers or the rest of the team. It was an us versus them situation. That's not quite the situation that James Harden likes all these guys on the team. Obviously, the Joel Embiid, the Tyrese Maxey, there's the strong relationship there. You dig deeper on the bench, there's guys like Patrick Beverley, who he has a history with, PJ Tucker, who he's very close friends with. Pretty much everyone in this organization has a pretty strong relationship with James Harden, and I do believe that's reciprocated, that as a human being, that they tend to like him, and that as a player, there's a nice kind of, he elevates others' games. That's one of the big positive traits of James Harden. But that still changes the fact of how do you reintegrate him to this offense, and what is really the point of bringing him if he's still dead set on being traded. When I talk about the offense as a whole, I do want to pull up this here. Look at these stats and how much things have changed under Nick Nurse. This from Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer here, that last season they were averaging 2.9 handoffs per game, which was the second least in the NBA, and 34.3 pick and rolls, the seventh most. So far this season, 9.3 handoffs, which is the second most, and 27 pick and rolls, which is the third least. So obviously there's some changes. We're seeing much more ball movement, much more team-oriented play. As I mentioned at the beginning, Joel Embiid is very much buying into that construct. And the reason that this is all possible is because of the evolution of Tyrese Maxey. That one of the overarching themes and one of the things I had my eye firmly on heading into the season is, can he show that type of progress as growing as a true point guard, as a guy that can run an offense and be a playmaker? And the results through the opening 3 games, very impressive. I do want to play this clip here that shows Maxey kind of playing off Embiid a little bit. He hits him with a couple of pocket passes, and we see a lot of the chemistry growing there. So I do want to play this video, and we'll see. I'll take it from there.
Plenty of time. I'm going to let Maxey go at Beasley every time down the floor.
Embiid, little turnaround is good. A friendly bounce
to get the contact.
That's it, Embiid. Lillard and Giannis going to work here. Embiid knocks it down. Sixers roll.
So that type of feel, that little pocket pass, that instincts, those are so encouraging to me. And it does feel like Tyrese Maxey is putting the full pieces together, that we're seeing flashes beyond this, that even if you want to talk about, look at the way he processes and finds Kelly Oubre under the rim on this play here, that is an advanced read for a point guard. That is something that we have not seen from Tyrese Maxey in past years. And by the way, he still has these distinguishing skills, the elite knockdown shooter from well beyond the three-point arc, that his range has expanded, and he just still has that downhill burst that simply no one can stop. Take a look at how the Raptors tried to trap him in this particular play, and it just does not stop Maxey. Turns the corner, and no one can match that type of burst. He is such a weapon to this team, and his continued growth, he looks to have taken another leap this season. That at this point in time, through the first 3 games of the season, he is top 6 in both points across the entire NBA. He ranks 6th there, and top 6 in assists per game. That is massive growth. That playmaking was the question mark. Through the first 2 games, he had 15 assists to just 1 turnover. That is impressive stuff from a guy who has yet to turn 23. And that's really what's changed my entire opinion of this James Harden situation. That it's very clear the offense looks different. That there is a team construct. The ball is swinging. There's guys cutting. The amount of off-ball movement so far this season, if you add up the amount of cuts and just off-ball movement for those first 3 games, that would eclipse how much off-ball movement there has been for the past 3 years under Doc Rivers. That's been the biggest difference in the offense. Guys like Tobias Harris being a more willing cutter. Kelly Oubre has phenomenal instincts as a cutter and has created buckets for himself without having the balls. Those are very valuable to this team. But how does James Harden fit into all that? So we know the context of this situation. We know that the NBA has this under a magnifying glass, that they're already investigating the Sixers for not playing James Harden against Milwaukee because he's a quote-unquote healthy star that was refused to play. Now, I would hope, given the context of this whole situation, that the NBA has the common sense to say, this isn't the specific example that we're trying to crack down on load management for. That there's some extreme circumstances tied to this particular situation. We'll let this one slide. I hope that is the case. I'm not guaranteeing that because the NBA has come down harsh on the Sixers several times before, but I would hope that be the case. But if I'm looking at this from the Sixers' perspective, I don't see the benefit of playing James Harden whatsoever. Now, I'm not saying the Sixers have a better chance to win with James Harden off the floor. I do think James Harden should be given more respect than generally I believe he does. That this is the same guy that scored 40 points twice in a playoff series against the Boston Celtics. The same guy that won a game while Joel Embiid was hurt and missed game 1. The same guy that led the NBA with 10.7 assists per game last year. A guy that was a 20-10 guy last year. He's still a very good basketball player. But my concern being that he's not a basketball player that fits into the Nick Nurse team-friendly system. That I think you throw James Harden into this mix and that we're back to dribbling the air out of the ball and living and dying with the dribble, step-back three-pointers, that's not helping anyone. And to me, the biggest outlook and the biggest thing the Sixers should be looking is how good is Tyrese Maxey truly and what type of player needs to complement him. I do think that he would benefit from having some sort of combo guard paired with him. That I do believe I'm impressed with the playmaking. It's been far beyond what I expected, but I still think there's moments where he should just be a scorer, where he should have the opportunity to, my whole goal right now, my role is to get buckets and create for myself because he's elite at it. He truly has added to his bag. He's a true 3-level scorer when you factor in his ability to finish around the rim, his little teardrop and mid-range touch with the floater and everything else that he has with that package. And then the three-point range is absolutely unstoppable. That the step back that he has, just the efficient shot that he has, we're seeing it all. It is the complete package there. So I do think that it would be benefit for that, but I think the Sixers benefit as a whole of let's see how this plays out more. Let's see what ingredients this team is missing to truly make them into that upper echelon of contender, because I don't think the James Harden market is going anywhere. I don't agree with the argument of you need to showcase James Harden to entice teams to trade for him. I think at this point in time, everyone is well aware of what James Harden is. As I mentioned, he's still a very good player. Teams know what they're getting with James Harden. I don't think throwing him on the court is going to impact that one way or another. I would even argue I think there's more of a risk that James Harden shows up, doesn't care, still wants to get traded, dogs it as he did in Houston and Brooklyn, and that just hurts the market. And then you have to pull him off the court and it's all these things. So if I'm the Sixers, my whole position right now, I'm looking James Harden in the eye. I'm calling him in my office if I'm Daryl Morey, and I'm saying, look, we will continue paying you. You stay home. You stay home till the trade deadline. We either find a trade for you, or if there's no market, if we can't find a proper deal of what I believe to be a fair value, then we figure this out then. Then we have a whole half of a season to evaluate what this team is, to see what we can flip you for, to see if teams start to implode or explode and more players become available to start a market. And if nothing happens, then you have plenty to play for as well, that you need to buy in for this half season. And by the way, if James Harden's goal is winning, I don't know how you don't look at these first 3 games and say, this might be my best chance at a championship. I don't think any other team around the NBA has as clean of an opportunity that I'll be traded to. Even the Clippers, I think there's more holes on the Clippers than there are on this Sixers team. That it is deep, it is missing something, it's not fully there, but Joel Embiid's the MVP of the league. Tyrese Maxey has already elevated himself into a top 40 NBA player. And James Harden can absolutely help with all these things. That there are other pieces around. That if James Harden wants to win, they weren't that far off last year. And that is what's frustrating about all this. So I do think that these next couple days and this next stretch will be very telling in how they manage this James Harden situation. But from my perspective, I just don't see the benefit of bringing him back into this team. Unless he's bought in and fully committed, I see no reason to bring him back on the floor. And I hope the Sixers dig into that exact position. Let me know what you guys think about that. I want to hear your thoughts about that in the comments. But thank you guys for watching this video. As I mentioned in the beginning, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and ringing the bell so you're not missing out on any content. And make sure you're leaving a like, leaving a comment. I'll be with you every step of the way this season. I am excited to talk about these Sixers from start to finish this year, that this has turned into an exciting team to watch, an exciting team to talk about and cover, and I cannot wait until they will be back on the floor. Until then, I'll keep ripping out videos. Make sure you're along every step of the way, and I will talk with you next time right here on Sixers Digest. Peace.